Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So in many a past video, I have talked about single player and multiplayer, specifically when it comes to multiplayer. These past few years, multiplayer has had an enormous boom, and everyone is on the hunt, on the lookout for the next big multiplayer game. There are even some gamers who only play multiplayer games and don't touch single player. And there have even been some video games that have been launching as multiplayer only, as in no single player component, no PvE, just solely PvP, solely player versus player, person versus person, online only, multiplayer video games. They've been sprouting up a great deal in free-to-play games, indie games, budget games, and a very select few AAA video games. Now keep in mind, when I say multiplayer only, I don't just necessarily mean no story mode, no story campaign. I have no problem with a video game not launching with a story campaign. I think that's fine. Video games have the right to exist without a story campaign. Just look at most of the Unreal Tournament games. Look at the original Star Wars Battlefront games. Games can exist without a story mode. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with, and what I don't see more people taking issue with, what I don't see more people talking about in these past few years with the rise of multiplayer, is multiplayer only games. What I mean by that is a game that is solely multiplayer, like you can't play the game without other people. I'm talking about multiplayer games that don't have offline modes, that don't have single player modes, that don't have bots. We've been getting more and more of those kinds of games. And while I do fully believe and support that video games without a story mode, without a story campaign can exist, they have every right to exist. If they want to be a multiplayer game, that's perfectly fine. But a multiplayer only game, a pure multiplayer only game with absolutely no form of single player, of no form of offline play, of no form of bots, AI. I simply can no longer support that whatsoever. I used to be like, yeah, okay, if the game has a stable player base, and the devs and publishers are making enough money off the game to sustain it and add more content, they don't want to spend money on developing AI for the game. I used to be the opinion of, yeah, it's okay for a multiplayer-only game to exist. I may not like that there isn't any form of AI, any form of single player, any form of PvE, but you know what? It's the developer's choice. I no longer believe that. I no longer believe or support that at all. I cannot support multiplayer-only games. I cannot support a game that has zero form of single player. I cannot support a game that has zero form of offline, zero form of AI bots. Doesn't matter if it's free-to-play, doesn't matter if it's indie, doesn't matter if it's budget, doesn't matter if it's AAA. I will not support multiplayer-only anymore. I can't. I simply can't. Unfortunately, I'm seeing this growing attitude amongst multiplayer-only gamers that keep saying things such as, oh, I don't care about single player. Oh, I don't care about AI bots. And while you have every right to not care for them, to completely write that stuff off, to completely ignore them, to say that they're not important, that you don't care, that's where I gotta stop you. Let me give you a few examples of multiplayer-only games that have no single player, no story mode, no offline bot matches. Let me give you some examples. Titanfall. I bring up this game so much when it comes to this topic. The original Titanfall is one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time, but there's going to come a time, sometime down the road, where literally nobody's playing the game. There will come a time where there'll be zero players playing the game. Yes, Titanfall has accumulated a fan base, but as the years go by, and more multiplayer shooters come out, people will move on, and Titanfall will eventually become truly dead. Unplayable, because no one is playing the game, because it's multiplayer only. And if there aren't other people playing the game, then you can't play the game. The game technically has an expiration date. Now, I would usually say this is just my opinion, but no, this is not just my opinion. This is how games should be. No video game should have an expiration date. No game. No video game should have an expiration date. No video game should just cease to exist years after its release. All that hard work put into developing the game shouldn't just vanish into thin air. That's just absurd. Books, novels don't have expiration dates. Movies, TV shows, they don't have expiration dates. You can watch them, read them, enjoy them, listen to them whenever you want. Whenever you want. Doesn't matter when they were made. Once they're made, once they're out there, once they're completed and out to the public, anyone can experience these things at any time, no matter the year, no matter the date, no matter how many people are watching, reading, or listening to it at that specific time. The same should go for video games. I mean, just look at multiplayer video games of the past. People can still play the original Battlefield. People can still play the original Unreal Tournament, Quake-free Arena, the Time Splitters games, and so many more. There's so many more examples of old games, really old games, classic games, multiplayer games that can be still played to this day because they have single-player modes, because they have offline bot matches. I can still buy and play these games years after release. I can't say that about Titanfall. Most likely, 5 years, 10 years from now, I'm not going to be able to play that game. It's literally going to be unplayable. Thank God for Titanfall 2 having a single-player campaign and fixing this issue, because now anyone can buy or play Titanfall 2 and still get their money's worth, still be able to experience the content in the game. I can't say the same thing for the original Titanfall. Another multiplayer-only example, and this is a very popular multiplayer-only game, Dead by Daylight. You know that 4v1 survival horror game where one person plays as a supernatural serial killer and the other are 4 teenage survivors trying to escape? I hear a lot of great things about Dead by Daylight. I hear a lot of great things about how much of a great game it is, how much of a great multiplayer game it is, but you have to pay money for it. You have to pay money for a multiplayer-only game that has an expiration date. You have to pay money for a game where sometime down the line, people are going to stop playing it. They're going to move on to other games, even though the game hasn't accumulated a fan base, as I said earlier. As years go by, and more games come out, and people move on, eventually, the player numbers will go down to 0. No one will be playing the game. So, someone who buys Dead by Daylight 5 years, 10 years from now, aren't going to experience the content. They're not going to be able to play the game. It's going to be a waste of money because it doesn't have a single-player mode. It doesn't have bot matches. And those are just some pay-to-play multiplayer-only games I've mentioned. There is a remarkable ton of free-to-play games that are multiplayer-only. The recently released Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex. I hear it's an excellent multiplayer shooter. Has no single-player or bots, though. No form of PvE content whatsoever. So if I spend money on the microtransactions in this free-to-play game, so if I spend money on these characters and these weapons and these cosmetics, and eventually years down the line when people stop playing the game, when the servers are empty and the player numbers drop to 0, what am I going to do with all this stuff I bought? What am I going to do with all this stuff that I spent hours grinding for? It's now useless. I can't experience the content. I can't play with it. I can't admire it. If the game had a single-player mode, a PvE mode, some form of offline bot matches or a horde mode, something of that sort, then I'd absolutely play Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. I hear people praising the game all the time. That's a great multiplayer shooter. I can't play it though. I won't play it. I can't support a model like that. Same thing goes with another free-to-play multiplayer shooter, Dirty Bomb. I hear nothing but good things about Dirty Bomb. But the same thing I said about Ghost in the Shell applies here. It's free-to-play only, PvP only, no single player, no PvE, no bots. So you could spend money buying and unlocking all the different characters, spend hours grinding and leveling up and again unlocking these characters, then years down the line, when people stop playing the game and the player numbers go down to 0, what does all your time and your money invested into Dirty Bomb have to show for? Because there's no one else playing the game, because it's PvP only, you can't play with all those characters you spent so much time unlocking or money unlocking. If the game had bots, if it had single player, if it had some form of PvE content, again, this wouldn't be an issue and I would happily play Dirty Bomb. I'm sorry everyone, I can no longer just sit idly by and support games that have an expiration date. Games that are doomed to die, doomed to become unplayable. I can't support games like that. For me, personally now, if you have no single player, no bots, no PvE, it's a no-buy. It's a no-play from me. I can't support that business model. I can't support multiplayer PvP only. I can't support it. Sending the message that we want multiplayer only, PvP only games sends a bad message to developers and publishers. That's sending the message that, yeah, we don't care if we get less content. We don't care if we're getting a product with an expiration date. We don't care if we're going to spend all this money and time in your game and eventually it will become unplayable years down the line. Please create a game with less content. Create a game that will become unplayable. Put all this hard work into your game so that it will eventually just disappear years down the line. I'm sorry, that's just a bad message. That's just an overall bad message to send to developers and publishers. PvP only, multiplayer only, this is not something I can support or endorse, and I hope you don't as well. Especially multiplayer-only gamers. What multiplayer-only gamers need to understand. It's okay if you don't like single player, you don't like bots, you prefer PvP only, that's perfectly fine. But don't make every other customer, don't make the game itself suffer for your indifference or your dislike of this content, of these game elements. They're important, and even though you don't like single player or you don't like bots, even if you don't like these things, you should demand them in your games. Because one, it's more content, more value for your time and money. And it historically preserves the game so that anyone, anytime, years, decades after the game's released, can still play the game. So that's my stance, that's my opinion on this. I can no longer support multiplayer only, PvP only games. I simply cannot. If it has no single player, no bots, no PvE, then it's a no buy. It's a no play for me. And I would hope that would be the same for you. The historical preservation of video games should be important to you. If you love this medium, if you love this hobby, if you love these products, if you love this art, then its historical preservation through single player, through bots, should be important to you. And that wraps it up for this video. If you like the video in any way, shape, or form, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved with the video. If you hit the like button, please let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section below. I love reading comments. I get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, then please consider pledging and becoming a patron on my Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video. I'll see you all later.